Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Boys Don't Cry once again. With you is Umair Khan. Boys Don't Cry, where we make space for men, our brothers, to feel, heal, and be real. It- So the rush to fix men as compared to helping them navigate through the situation and see what generational overtime traumas or overtime demons there are that can be healed through collective health. So, yes, today's topic is men's mental health, fixing versus healing. In order to really get into it, we want to understand, or at least try to understand, based on whatever experience I have of working with people from different backgrounds, over different in different countries, different continents, during different phases of my life, be it personal, be it professional, or any other engagements I've had over the course of last, 40 years or so, that I can remember. You can say 30 plus years or so, 35 years or so. We want to understand, where does this thinking come from? Where does this thinking of fixing men versus healing them come from? So I'm going to go back to one of my previous episodes, where I believe it was when I took my day, very last episode, when I took Umer Khan Day out. And one of the points I made was that we continue to treat men like machines, like ATMs, like machines. And that treatment, that perception of men, for purpose of this conversation, I'm going to take a step forward. We treat men like broken machines that need to be fixed, broken machines whose parts need to be changed, broken machines who need to be taken out of commission, who need to be undergone surgery, and who just need to be fixed. So our treatment of men comes from that very perception, that very centuries old treatment of men, like machines or even broken machines. Now, when we talk about objectification of women, that is a very stereotypical behavior um, that women are subjected to. Different cultures, different places in the world. Just like that, this is something we really need to identify, and we really need to start looking at as to what extent we are treating our brothers, men, boys, like broken pieces of art that can only be treated with a band-aid, can only be treated with a staple pin, can only be treated with a fixing mechanism, and that there is no process of healing that can be involved. And it really takes a lot in terms of people wanting to come together, or one or two people who know an individual A come together and try to understand that, okay, what is the problem? And that person himself would have to admit that, yes, there is a problem that I need to fix. I need to fix the problem, but I need to see if there's an underlying cause that I need to go through a healing process. Another aspect of the same thought process can be that over the course of centuries, I mean, World War One came, Industrial Revolution, and even before that, men have always been the providers, the sustainers, the protectors, uh, going out of the house, taking care of things, being the strong folks they are, being the umbrella they are over their families. They don't really have time to stop or pause and think about that, okay, I've got a problem. I've got to take care of this problem because there's so many other things lined up. I got to provide for my family. I got to protect my family. I got to take care of the finances. I got to take care of Maybe there's illness. I got to take care of drought coming through. I got to take care of economic slump coming through. I got to take care of so many of these things. So on this whole list, that line item, taking care of your own healing, that just gets bumped all the way down. And in so many cases, it just gets bumped off the list, out of the frame. Okay. So that is also a big reason where prioritization of needs of the individual and needs of the family, needs of the collective group that this man is responsible for, those needs just push that healing need out of the picture. Now, what happens? When that happens, men themselves, plus people around them also, mostly men themselves, they go into stopgap arrangement mode. Then you go into trauma management mode. So our thought process moves over from healing mechanism, which should be the case, into a trauma center mechanism that, okay, let me stop the bleeding and let me take care of it later. And that later never comes because of that whole list of things that the person has to take care of or accomplish. And on so many of those things, there's a time box. There's a daily time box. There's a weekly time box. There's a monthly time box. And that cycle just never ends. Boom. So prioritization of fixing need, the need to fix quickly over the need, the urgency and importance to help with the healing process is one of the big reasons why society on the whole, partners, families in general, and then immediate families in particular, do not really go beyond the fixing mentality. Now, another aspect of the same prioritization is be a man, walk it off. Over the course of centuries, we teach our kids, especially boys, to walk it off, be a man. So we're telling our boys, especially, that you get hurt, get up, start moving. Well, what we should be telling them is, all right, you got hurt, see if there's anything wrong, see if you need to take care of something, and then let's get back on the horse. So that critical piece of information, that critical task on the task list is still missing. What we want to do is we want to encourage them, okay, you know what? You fell. No worries. Let's take a look. Take a minute to inspect. See if something's wrong. See if something broke. Okay, what happened? Is there something wrong? You want to take some time out? You want my help? What can I help you with? Let me help you. And then let's get back on the horse. So that critical piece of action is missing. It has been missing, which we need to add back. Not that it was always there, probably was, probably wasn't, but we need to add that back into the mix of raising our boys. All right, you ready for this? How does this, you need to be fixed, um, or it's not our job to fix the broken pieces that you brought with you. How does this affect an individual's relationships? Because there are grave consequences of this line of conversation. And so many times we don't realize how this line of communication, how this line of questioning, how this line of conversation not only turns people away in the short run, but it also causes a massive long-term impact on different relationships. Now, the first thing, men who are continuously told that they need to be fixed, they need to be fixed, or we're not here to fix you, or it's not our job to fix you, over time, they're going to stop sharing stuff. They're going to stop sharing their expression as they have inside, letting those out outside because of the judgment that they're going to receive in terms of, well, oh, it's not my job to fix you. Nope, you need to fix that before we talk. Or, I mean, you're broken. What am I supposed to do? And that decreasing amount of sharing, decreasing amount of conversations, decreasing amount of sharing of distress, that eventually turns into silence. Another more psychological aspect of this is when we are with people, and humans thrive on human connection. When we are with people, be it a class group, be it a vocational group, be it a professional group, be it a marital pair, when we are with people, chances of us improving, chances of us getting better at doing different things increase when the focus is shifted from fixing or blaming for the problem to, all right, let's work together to see how we can move forward, how we can improve things. So from fixing to healing. It's a framework that views that humans perform better, grow better, become better professionals when they work together with other human beings. At identification of, at resolution of, at implementation of solutions of the problems that are being experienced. So whatever is broken, any human being is going to be more invested if they see that there is a group or there are people who are invested in my improvement, in my healing. So I need to be even more invested because there are people who are concerned about this. So they're not just blaming, hey, you need to fix this. They're actually invested, hey, let's work together on this and let's see how we can move forward. Let's do a quick symptom identification. Let's turn that into a root cause analysis and let's find out exactly what the problem is. Even if that means we have to go 10, 15, 20 years back. Now, this is not an easy job, so not a lot of people are going to be cut out for this. If you know, you know. So just consider two examples. Example one, there's a verbal argument, and partner A says, hey, you know what? You need to fix yourself. I cannot deal with you till the time you fix yourself. I cannot deal with you because you're just broken. I don't know what kind of messed up situation you have going on. So what is the guy going to do in that case? Is the guy continue? Is the guy still going to continue the expression, or the communication process, or is the guy going to just close down? Just drop the shutters, close shop, turn off the lights, and boom, we're done. Example B, same thing is happening. There is an argument, there is verbal argument, there is back and forth, and a point comes where partner A says, you know what? Okay, I understand what you're saying. I don't agree with it. It's making me absolutely furious, but I want to help. Let's find out what the problem is and let's find out how we can work on this because I want to help you move on with this in a healing way, not in an ignoring way. I want you to deal with this. I want to help you deal with this so that we can make the situation better. Now, in this case, what do you think the guy is going to think? And what do you think the guy is going to do? Now we've thrown the ball in that guy's court. Oh, you know what? Okay, now I have to think because now the other person is invested. Now the other person's just raised the stakes. Now I have to do something. So you see, difference of just two sentences, how that can create a change of direction in terms of your mental compass, your way of thinking, your way of executing your actions, your way of choosing your plan of action. So it's very, very important, going back to the impact this mentality, fixing versus healing mentality, has on the relationships. Same thing, parents, if they continue talking to their kids, let's say, I've got boys, if I continue telling my kid, and I realized this a couple of years ago, if I telling my high schooler, okay, you need to fix this, you need to fix this, you need to fix this, without asking him what's wrong, okay, what's bothering you? Is there anything I can do to help? What is it? Come to me, tell me. Instead of saying you need to fix it, you need to fix it, you need to fix it, he's going to receive the message that I'm broken, I'm broken, I'm broken. Instead of that, I keep asking him, okay, what is the problem? You want to talk about it? What do you want to talk about? When do you want to talk about it? I'm here when you want to talk about it. Because I cannot help you if I don't understand what the symptom is, at least. If you don't want to tell me what the root cause is, at least tell me what the symptom is beyond what I can see so that I can help you. Because if I don't understand what the situation is, what is happening, then I cannot help you. And that credibility is going to have to be earned. We're going to have to do a few things without judgment. We're going to have to take a few steps without judging our boys based on what they say, jumping the gun just because they said something and now I have to do something because that's how I was raised. No, I need to be very patient. If they said something in anger, calm down. It's okay. I've been there. I've done this. So I'm not going to do what I saw done. So I'm going to stay focused on the goal at hand, task at hand is to getting my boy to open up. Same thing. Could be a marital relationship. It could be a father-son relationship. It could be a sibling relationship. Same thing. It goes both ways. We've got to retract the fixing statements and we've got to extend the healing statements. It's not easy, but there's a start. And we'll come down to action plans also. I just have one more thing to mention here. Now, also, I was talking about, say, my son. Now, if I do not move forward in a healing manner, let's assume I'm not married. Let's assume I did not have the healing process before getting married. Let's assume nothing happened and we're here 20 years later. I got so many issues and now I've become a father. What's going to happen? What am I going to teach him? I'm going to teach him the same things that I learned without unlearning those cultural, those generational, those socioeconomic behaviors. I'm going to inherit those and I'm going to pass those on to my son. And now he's going to be raised with the same values, quote unquote values, principles, best practices. Well, to me, they're best practices because I was taught those. They don't have to be best practices. Just because something is taught does not have to be a best practice. It can be a fatal flaw too. So now my son's going to be learning the same things. So it gets passed on, which is even more devastating because not only was my adulthood, was my relationship management, relationship ecosystem was kind of messed up and got screwed royally, But now the fact that I did not get in a situation where I resolved the issues and I went through a healing process, so now I'm going to instill the same values, same principles, same actions, same thought processes into my son's mind, complementing whatever he's learning from his social circle. So now there is a spillover effect, trickle down effect. Culture, we'll talk about culture of an organization. Okay, so in this case, we're talking about the organization being the family, the father-son relationship in this case. So we're talking about culture being handed down. Very important. The impact of not taking a guy through a healing process, the impact on next generations, so profound. Now, when we talk about healing, there are a few things that we need to understand. When we embark upon a healing journey, we understand that men are also flesh and bone with a soul, hardware and software. Software can get patchy, software can get laggy. There needs to be an update that needs to be done. There needs to be decommissioning, temporary decommissioning. There needs to be service done, and it needs to be put back into commission. So the humility, the humanity, the mortality of men also needs to be accepted to be able to get on with the healing process. They can be as strong as He-Man, Arnold, but they still can get hurt mentally, psychologically, emotionally. Now, there are some guys who absolutely are stone cold. From the outside, you're not going to be able to tell what's happening. Probably going back to point number one that we spoke about over the course of years, that they have just established that aura, that personality, that facade, that nothing's going to get through because now there is a 2 kilometer ice shelf. Good luck getting through that. So we embrace the humanity of men, the vulnerability of men. When we talk about healing process, when we talk about healing ability or healability of men, it also puts focus, shifts focus from blame game over to symptom identification and root cause analysis. The intent to take care of things, the intent to resolve. So your focus shifts from blame game to intent to resolve. It's a massive shift. And here, I'm going to recommend this one book I read last year, Carol Dweck. It's called Mindset. Amazing book, fantastic book. Everyone needs to read that book, be an adult, be a teen. And then another book I'm working these days on is Crucial Conversations. Two amazing books when it comes to mindset and communication. So coming back to healing, it shifts your focus from, our focus from blame game to intent to resolve, which is very important, which needs to be displayed for the other person to have some faith in, you know what? Okay, they're saying this, you know what? Let me take them on face value and see what they want to do with this. And maybe the person is going to start opening up. Very important. Group support. Instead of making fun of guys, if someone wants to go through this route, we've got to support them. We've got to help them. We've got to provide them with resources. We've got to be there, not barrage them with information, but just be there for if they have questions, for if they have statements, for if they have feedback, for if they have any thoughts, they can bounce those off their support system, because the support system in this case is very important, both for the guy who's going through this, but also for the person or group of people who are helping that individual go through this. Because there's going to be immense pressure on both sides of this engagement. So a support structure, a support system, formal, informal, whatever the case be, is very important for healing mechanism, for healing process to not only get started, but get completed, to complete the full cycle. And then, since we're talking about full circle, a healed person, a healed guy, a guy who's understood, who's gone through identification, who's gone through acceptance, who's gone through resolution of those demons, will have a better time instilling better values, better coping mechanisms, healing coping mechanisms instead of band-aid coping mechanisms in his kids, which in turn will be beneficial for the next generation. So just wanted to share a few things that healing does versus just plain fixing or blaming that you need to be fixed or we can't fix you or it's not our job to fix you or well, you're broken. Too bad we can't return you. I mean, buyer's remorse was what? 1 day, 0 days? There ain't no buyer's remorse. What can be done in terms of this? What can we do to help transition from fixing to healing? Well, it goes without saying, we have to continue having conversations. We just need to have those conversations. And one of the very surprising things, and I was mentioning this to a few of my friends the other day, is out of all the people that I have reached out to for this podcast, Boys Don't Cry, most men have declined. Well, let me restate. Most men have either declined to appear or they've said we're not qualified despite the position they're in, or they've ghosted me, or they have just seen my messages, taken my questions, and chose not to answer. So we need to have these conversations, and men need to lead these conversations. And so far, thank you very much. Out of all the people who I have reached out to, mostly it has been females who have shown interest in terms of talking about it. Other than my brother Sohail Bukhari. Thank you very much, man. He was, as soon as I asked him, he was like, yes, I need to. So if you have not watched my conversation with Sohail Bukhari, that was the first episode on this podcast. Why is it such a difficult topic? So you want to go back and watch that. I'm going to put that um, link at the end of this video. Other than that, every other man I have reached out to, they have just not been forthcoming. So how in the world are we going to have those conversations? If the stakeholders for whom we want to do this, if they're not interested, how in the world are we going to take care of this? We can't. And then the second action step, this one's going to be difficult. This one's going to be really, really difficult because this involves cross-generational conversation. Yes, CGC. I just came up with it. I don't know. My generation needs to have a talk with previous generation. We need to have a talk with the next generation. It doesn't have to be all at one point. These conversations need to start happening in an organic manner. Inclusivity, all these three generations. At any given time, three generations need to be involved in this conversation. Why? Because generation of the past can see what generation of the now of today is going through, the conversations they're having, the questions they're having, the impact of these decisions is showing on this generation. And then generation of the future will see what is happening coming from today's generation and yesterday's generation, and how is that coming to us? Because our world, today's 6, 7 world is so different, is so skibbity, so sigma, that we need to have all these three generations involved in a conversation. And also to have this generation understand where this generation is. Yes, they may not understand this generation, even though they've raised this generation, but it's okay. Even if we start helping them understand this generation, because this ship has sailed, they need to understand this generation from a connection standpoint in terms of values, in terms of history, in terms of roots, in terms of where we come from. So that conversation and communication is so important. And also, even if this generation understands and tries to mend their ways, hey, rest of the interaction, rest of the time that these three generations have with each other, maybe that's going to become so fascinating, so beautiful that everything's going to become rose and colors and rainbows and glitters. So it's very, very important to have cross-generational conversations. It doesn't have to be, oh, every Thursday we're going to do this. No, every fourth Friday we're going to do this. No, it doesn't have to be that way. Just make it informal. Just start a conversation, strike a conversation. Talking about a movie, strike a conversation. Just throw in a few questions there and just see how the conversation flows in an organic manner. But the attempt has to be made. We simply cannot afford to continue in our merry ways of blaming guys, blaming men, blaming adult men. And yes, there are times where that blame has to be placed for actions that are done. The blame has to be placed for the actions. The blame should not be placed for the person being the person, because the person being the person is a product of years long sequence of education, upbringing, and experience. So the condemnation, the identification of actions needs to be action specific, should not be person specific. And then move that over to how can I help? How can I help you move forward? How can I help you identify this? How can I help you heal through this process? I got you, man. Very, very important. I'm going to leave you with this one simple action. When was the last time you asked one of your friends, guy friends, um, one of your one of the guys in your life, how can I help to help you move forward? When was the last time you did that? I want to know in the comments. Please do share in the comments because this is very important. Fixing versus healing, moving from fixing mindset to a healing mindset, the impact it has on future relationships, on future actions, on legacy of generations. So if anything in today's episode hit you, resonated with your life, please do let me know. I want to know if there's any other topic that you want me to dive deeper into. I do want to know. Please do comment. Please do share this podcast with guys in your life, with men in your life, with boys in your life. I tell my kids to listen to this podcast, even the ones um, in fifth grade, the other ones a freshman. I tell them one of the reasons I'm doing this is for you guys. So share this with your male friends, with your sons, even with your daughters, with people in your life. And if there's anything you think you believe I need to add to this, please do not hesitate to reach out. Till next, this is Umar Khan signing off from Boys Don't Cry. Thank you.